The IKEA Business Network is now open for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Join for free today to get access to interior design services to help you make the most of your workspace, employee well-being benefits to help you and your people grow, and amazing discounts on travel, insurance, and IKEA purchases, deliveries, and more. Take your small business to the next level when you sign up for the IKEA Business Network for free today by searching IKEA Business Network.
Hey guys, today on the Trading Coach Podcast, I'm going to share with you a rule on how to determine if you have rules, right? Sounds weird, but trust me, it's a lot more common than you would think. And before we get into it, today's podcast clip comes from one of our live trading room sessions. If you ever want to hop in a live trading room session and mark up the charts, join us for analysis, share your own ideas, get your trade reviewed, or just kind of join other like-minded individuals as we talk market and trading nerd type of stuff, feel free to do so. Head over to our platform, www.tier1trading.com. It is part of your 14-day risk-free trial membership on the platform, meaning that you sign up, you get 14 days to experience our live sessions, our training courses, download some software, chat with the community, and a lot more. There's no sneaky auto bill or anything like that. After 14 days, you simply lose access and, well, you're locked out. And before we get into that clip, I want to talk a little bit about kind of rules-based trading, right? If you guys have heard me speak or watched any of my videos or podcasts, and there's lots of it on it lately, but I'm a big believer in rules-based trading, meaning that I am a discretionary trader. Yes, I do believe that trading is both an art and a science, and that there should be, we want to limit the amount of subjectivity, but we should be allowed to use discretion, meaning our interpretation of what's going on. With that being said, it shouldn't be kind of fully discretionary trading where you hear people about, hey, I'm trading off of gut feeling or I think, right? We have rules that kind of, help our discretion. And understand that the process for creating rules is an ongoing one, and not just creating rules to begin with, but how your rules end up, right? If you look at my trading plan when I first started trading, 15 plus years ago to how it is now, it's completely different. I went from a point where I was very loose and didn't have rules, and I started with a very strict set of rules because I needed that to have structure. And then as I got better in the market, as I earned my discretion, as I earned my intuition, my rules started to loosen up as my skill got better. And in today's podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about that process, because I think a lot of traders get maybe discouraged when they're trying to create a rules-based trading plan because they want it to be perfect the first time through. And the thing is, it's not. And the thing is, not only is it not perfect the first time through, but as a trader writing their own plan, remember, we are traders, we are entrepreneurs, we are our own bosses. We don't necessarily, unless you're getting coaching and mentorship, we don't have someone looking over our shoulders telling us what to do. Even if you have coaching and mentorship, right? Unless you're doing some sort of one-on-one type of training where your coach is literally giving you assignments and checking in with you every week, it's up to you to kind of present it, right? I know we work with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of traders at any given time on the platform. And, we're not making it mandatory that you shoot in your trading plan. We advise it, and the people that do, they get critiqued and they learn. But there are people out there that are doing the work and we don't even know about it. They could be doing it 100% right. They could be doing it 100% wrong. We just don't know. And that's part of kind of the accountability, is putting yourself out there and being open to critique. But the point is, you could be thinking that you're doing everything right and missing something just because you don't know what you don't know, right? That whole unconscious incompetence type of state. So the way you evolve as a trader is creating different versions of that plan, creating different versions of your rules, and then bringing it to a coach, a mentor, an accountability partner, and having them review. And in that review process, what you'll find are the holes, where you'll be in your mind, you'll think something is kind of locked up and perfect. And then when you share it, just because you're getting a different perspective, no different than a teacher kind of marking up an assignment in school, you start oh yeah, oh well, I guess that wasn't explained correctly, or I guess that didn't answer that question. And you find these gaps, and then you go back to the drawing board and you fix these gaps, and that's how you build your trading plan stronger and stronger and stronger. So wanted to give you a little bit of that kind of background before we hop into today's podcast episode. This was from, as I mentioned earlier, one of our live trading sessions. We were doing a trade review for a trader, and we were going through the whole thing of, hey, what are you looking at? What are your rules for this? What are your rules for that? And it brought up really a good example and one of my favorite rules to determine, like I said before, if you have rules. All right, let's hop in. So we got our entries. We know we need to know entry stops and targets. Now, what are my stops based off of? How do I place my stops? What were my stops placed off of? What is my rule for stops? There's a book called, I don't know if you guys have read it. Any of you guys read the book One Good Trade by Mike Bellafiore? It's one that's always on my list whenever I'm asked, like, what are your 3 favorite books? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's too hard, but it is one. Because I think I try to break it up into an empowerment book, a psychological book, and a process and method book. Notice there's no like technical book, right? It's funny. The first thing you would think is I give you 3 books on technical analysis, but no. I think most books on technical analysis are pieces of junk. So I always give Market Wizards, which is an empowerment book. Right? You want to be great, read about the greats, both their upsides and their downsides. A psychological book, right? Trading in the Zone is a great one for that, because we know that the holy grail of trading lies between the 6 inches in between your ears. And then a process book. I think One Good Trade is probably the best book I've read on, again, not only seeing how the pros actually do it from inside look of a prop firm, which is very useful, especially since they're not making any documentaries anymore. No more, was it Wall Street Warriors? Used to love that series. Old school series. But it gives you an idea of the process, a rules-based process, and how we need to have established rules and established edges and probabilities, and the discipline in following those rules is what allows us to extract that edge consistently through the market. And Mike spoke about the interview process. We have 2 traders interviewing for him right now. Fingers crossed that they both go through. I tried to make a power play. Not that I have much power, but we're fortunate enough to have a really good relationship with Mike and know him. So I'm like, hey, Mike, just want to give you a heads up that we got 2 traders doing the interview process. And like, if you ever need anything about them, I have all types of wise words or kind words to talk about them. And he's like, I appreciate it, but we gotta be non-biased. I'm like, I get it. I get it. Just want to put it out there because I'm hoping to get through. Naomi and Dion, man, they've worked so hard for us for so many years, and I hope they get it. And they asked, so I did it. I figured I'd get that same response, because that's the same thing I would do. Where it's like, you got to be non-biased, and you got to let the process play out. You have it for a reason, right? We got to follow, just like trading, right? We have trading rules. We can't just go against our rules. But I figured, they asked me to, so I did it. I'm a man of my word. But it's a good process book for doing things the right way. One of the things he does during his interviews with traders is he asks you a question. So I may ask Bobby. I may say, hey, Bobby, why is your stop loss there? And if Bobby can't answer in less than 6 seconds, do you think Bobby has a rule for a stop loss or whatever it may be? No, right? Because if we're doing something, it shouldn't take us more than 6 seconds to think about it, unless we're making something up. I was telling my wife the other day, our neighbor friend came over, and I had to put him on timeout because he was throwing toys or whatever like that. So he's trying to explain himself. He's like 4 years old. He's like, well. I'm like, what happened, man? He's like, well, this, that, and I kind of did this, and I kind of did that, and then he hit himself in the head and said, I forgot, right? He just owned it. But like, he had 6 seconds and he couldn't explain his story. So you knew it was a straight out lie, right? If you guys got kids, you know what I'm talking about. They try to make everything up. Well, what happened was I didn't throw it. What'd you do then? Well, it fell out my hand in the direction with force. Mm-hmm. Right? So same thing with trading. If we can't answer a question in 6 seconds, we probably don't have a written rule for it. So if you ever kind of question yourself, or you're running into a trader on the platform that maybe you think is like maybe not doing everything the right way, And it's, the 6-second rule is more for like an in-person thing. It's hard when you're typing because everyone's doing stuff. But you ask them right away. And if they can't answer your question about why this is there, then they probably don't have a rule for it. Which isn't something to make fun of them about. It's just, it opens up the door. And this would be for you as well. If you're someone that gets asked and you can't respond, that just means, hey, that's the next hole that needs to be filled in your trading plan is, man, I don't really have a rule for this. I should create one. And then you go to work working on that, and then you find the next hole, and then that's how you build your trading plan over time. Before you leave, do me a favor, right? I'm trying to grow this podcast into the best trading podcast in the world. We are moving up the rankings on a lot of lists out there, top 10 in many, top 5 in a lot as well. But I want to be number one because I am greedy. I am addicted to competition. And if you're going to do something, you might as well be the best at it. But I need your help. So leave me a rating and a review if you haven't done so already. I know a lot of you guys listen to this, but you haven't taken the time to leave me a rating or a review. Just give me a few stars, type in a few kind words. It takes a second, but it massively helps us grow the show. It massively helps us get that recognition that we want to become the best trading podcast in the world. So if you can do that, I'll give you a thank you. Thank you in advance. And until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.